And at this hearing, I'm first going to ask you just a few questions, and then I'm going to advise you of your rights and also let you know about a preliminary hearing that's been scheduled for you. Why don't you just state your name, please? All right, pull the microphone down, please. There you go. All right, and how old are you, Mr. Gray?
54.
And are you able to read and write and understand the English language without any difficulty?
Yes, sir.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade GED.
Okay. And I note that you have counsel seated with you at the table. You understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney at all times for this and all future proceedings in your case?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that, of course, if you cannot afford an attorney, that the public defender will be appointed to the system is working. And all right, so the following aren't questions that I'm going to ask. I'm just informing you of some things. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you at further hearings or at a trial on the charges that you're facing. For this hearing, you're not going to be questioned about facts and circumstances surrounding your charges. You are currently charged with, and you'll be provided with copies of the warrants if you don't already have them. You're currently charged with 2 counts of felony murder in the second degree. You're charged with 4 counts of felony involuntary manslaughter. You're charged with 8 counts of felony cruelty to children in the second degree. Now, for these offenses, for the felony murder counts in the second degree, felony murder in the second degree, the maximum penalty for each count is up to 30 years imprisonment. For felony involuntary manslaughter, of course, again, there are 4 counts. The maximum penalty for each of those offenses is 10 years imprisonment. For the 8 felony cruelty to children counts, the maximum penalty under the law for each of those 8 counts is 10 years imprisonment, for a maximum total possible penalty for the charges that you currently are facing of 180 years imprisonment. If you have questions about these charges, which I assume that you will, the court urges you to discuss those with your attorney. Let me inquire as to whether there's a motion for bond if Mr. Gray is moving for bond at this time.
No, sir, not at this time. We will allow alternate counsel to make that decision.
All right, thank you. All right, I also need to inform you that you have the right to an indictment by a grand jury, and you also have the right to a preliminary hearing unless you make bond or waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense if you so choose. I want to make it clear to you, Mr. Gray, that you are presumed innocent. Your refusal to testify at any point cannot be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. I mentioned the first appearance hearing a moment ago. That is being set for you for December 4th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. Currently that's set to take place in the Magistrate Court of Barrow County. It could be subject to change, but I just want you to know that that is the date that we currently have. In fact, counsel, could you approach, please? I have this, let's see, I need to scratch this out. this document that discusses bond and gives the date of the preliminary hearing, and I guess I could sign that, and then he can just get a copy of it. And then the warrants are attached to that. Sign that, so I would like for him to sign it. Turn it over, please.
Sign right there, just so you're getting a copy of this. He is giving you a copy. He's gonna give you a copy of all the warrants too. Do you want me to go ahead and give him his copy?
Yes, please.
And the page continues. in front of you, just so you don't put it on the first one. And are these his copies of the warrants?
Those are provided, and they say service copies on them, so I assume that they're for him.
Okay.
Sergeant Briscoe, do you concur with that? Is that what those copies are for?
That's for the detention center.
Those are for the detention center? So he's got his own copies, or he'll have them provided?
Right.
All right, so the detention center wants to hold on to those. All right, let me, and thank you, Ms. Seagraves. I want to certainly acknowledge the presence of our district attorney, Mr. Brad Smith. He's assisted by his chief assistant, Patricia Brooks. Is there anything else, counsel, that the court needs to address that I have neglected to address?
No, Your Honor.
No, sir, not at this time.
All right. I do want to thank those who are in the gallery who have an interest and who have appeared. I appreciate the decorum that has been maintained throughout this proceeding, or both of these proceedings today. And with that, this matter is adjourned.
The attorney who's going to represent you, I think his name is James Rogers. We're going to have the official later today, but he'll come and see you probably the first part of next week.